All right, everyone, we got to talk about Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Israel, and Trump. This is a very confusing but extremely funny story. It's kind of disturbing on one end, but it's more funny than anything. So I'm going to get into it for those that don't know. What happened is that Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib have said like weird shit with regards to Palestine, especially for some time now. Trump came out. I guess they were planning to visit Israel or something, and Trump came out and said, "Well, the nation of Israel shouldn't allow them in because they say all this shit." And so now the the nation of Israel has signaled that yes, indeed, they're going to ban them from coming to the country because of their statements with regards to the IDF's treatment of Palestinians and the Gaza Strip and settlements and stuff. Keeping in mind, some of their statements are correct. The settlements that are being built, for instance, in parts of Jerusalem, are abusive in nature. Like, I think it's, what is it? Is it the Temple Institute or one of these groups basically forcing people out of their homes under false pretenses in order to move Jewish families in around that area? The treatment of civilians within Gaza, especially, has been atrocious on all sides. It's not just the Israelis, it's also the Palestinian Authority doesn't appear to be capable or willing to deal with the problem of Hamas as well. So you've got people that are basically trapped in this tiny sliver of land. They can't come, they can't go as they please, they can't do anything. They just sort of sit there and get bombed by everybody around them repeatedly, and they're expected to I guess, act in a lawful manner. When you're under those sorts of conditions, I would think any sane person would understand that it's ripe for misuse by a group like Hamas, but, that escapes notice from the Israeli government. They don't want to talk about that. It's never really brought up. I would say this, ultimately. I'm much more concerned, like Trump is saying, well, Tlaib and Omar, their hate of Israel, they should get a ban from Israel. I'm not really, they're U.S. politicians. They're not paid to represent Israel. So you can think whatever you want about that. I'm much more concerned about the fact that Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib represent disdain for U.S. values. I'm much more concerned about the U.S. See, they are U.S. politicians. They represent districts within the United States in the House in that capacity. They reside here. They take taxpayer money from here. They're not diplomats. I don't really care what their feelings on Israel are so much. I do care about the fact that they're scumbags that want to usher essentially socialism light into the United States. Pretty soon there'll be U.S. refugees going to other countries if they got their way. That's why they want open borders. They want Americans to be able to flood out of the country when they ruin it. So I'm concerned about that. Yeah, I don't think that they should be in office. I think that they suck. But that being said, the idea that it's substantive in any way that Israel would say, well, these two lesser junior U.S. House members are banned from our country. I don't see what Israel gains by it, although I imagine Netanyahu probably got a chuckle. He probably greenlit it himself. He's like, this is going to be pretty funny. This is going to be great. And then Trump will come over and he'll go to the Wailing Wall, and it'll be good for photo ops, basically. As Trump's approval appears to be higher in Israel than it is in most parts of the United States, it's actually quite funny how that works. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with Trump doing this. Doesn't bother me or anything like that, but I mean, why doesn't Trump focus a little bit more on the fact that these people want to institute failed economic policies here domestically, fucking the U.S. economy over? See, Trump is the president of the United States. But it appears, and this has actually been alluded to, and this was the funny part, this was only a couple of weeks ago. Remember when Trump, he said, well, I would like to visit, I guess what he said to Ben Carson was he'd like to visit Baltimore, but he figures he'd just get booed off stage. He doesn't want to go there because he'd be around people that have been lied to and hate him and think he's racist and stuff. What if Trump plays up to Israel so much because he gets such a warm reception? Like the idea, like Trump even would have problem maybe going to some of the swing states that he really needs to target because he's actually being demoralized. I can almost kind of believe that because after 2 years of being called Satan incarnate, I think that the average person would be a little bit. They'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And most of this isn't even true and I haven't done anything. But he needs to focus more on the U.S. I understand this is essentially a throwaway to the neocons. Like the boomer era neocons they do not care about U.S. values by and large. Like, they're not even conservative. Like, they're like the acolytes of the Glenn Becks of the world. They don't give a fuck about the U.S. Their idea is to manage the U.S. into disrepair gracefully. They're like, well, we're going to retire from the world stage. We're going to do so with great solemnness and disappear comfortably and gently into the pages of history. That's what the neocons, like the Bushites, want to do. The liberals that wanted to make money, they're scumbag multinationalists. That's basically what they are. That's their idea. So in order to get them to vote for Trump 2020, I guess the best way to do that is to focus on the only country that they feel like nationalistic towards, which is Israel. Because of the Bible, because of their deeply held fake Christian views. They think that a modern political entity has something to do with antiquity. It's, again, very, very funny how that works. The fundamentalist Christians, they substitute religion for civics because they tore their civics apart back in the hippie days. That's basically what it boils down to. These people sort of project their nationalism and patriotism off on Israel, which is also really funny because then some Jews are telling them to fucking shut up, and they won't even listen to them. They're like the religious Jewish, arguably minority, hate the idea. They're like, no, this isn't holy at all. You know, there's constant war going on. It's more of a sign of Armageddon than it is anything holy. I don't know what you're talking about. Where's this? Show me your Bible, because it doesn't even make any sense. It's a really funny sectarian ideological struggle. And the most Zionistic people in the world are Christians. And so Trump, he's playing it off. He's playing on these people's religious views. And he's getting these U.S. House members banned from Israel, and it's just hilarious. I mean, they should arguably be banned from being in politics here. Their constituents should kick them back out of office, and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar can go back to doing whatever the fuck they were doing before. What kind of industries were they in? Ilhan Omar reminds me of the sort of person who would be a very severe college professor, like the one that badmouths you when you get a question wrong or something. And as far as Rashida Tlaib, I don't know. She's just a bad person. That's my understanding of it. She just seems like a bad person. But that being said, I don't really care about their thoughts on Israel. They keep dwelling on this over and over again, like Israel this, Palestine this, and they did kind of start it too. Let's, not mince words here. Ilhan Omar especially habitually talks about Palestine. The thing is, she is a U.S. House member. She is not a diplomat. She's not in an executive capacity. She represents one House district in U.S. politics, and that's it. But she's doing what AOC and Tlaib and some of these others do. They're not acting like members of the House. They're acting like they're diplomats. Or that they're national level bureaucrats, that they represent the U.S. to foreign countries, that they represent the whole U.S. and some sort of movement within it at large. They don't. They represent their House districts. That's why, by the way, it's likely that one or several of them might get kicked back out of the House. Because in their own districts, they're not that popular. Ilhan Omar on a national level has millions and millions of fans. How many of them are actually capable of voting for her? That's the big question. It could be all four of these people, the squad, the gang of four is what they should be called. The four miserable cretins within the U.S. House, the four goofball socialists. It's possible they get kicked out because of that. That'd be really funny. It'd be funny if AOC was a one-termer. So she gets kicked out, some weirdo takes her place, and then she won't retire gracefully. She'll be like, well, I can make my living just making a tweet every day. And she probably can. She'll just set up a Patreon and say, hey, you want more of my sarcastic tweets? I promise to hashtag resist Orange Man Bad. That's all she has to do. She could pull in a six-figure salary easy with her kind of fan base. Oh, absolutely. See, that's the wonderful thing about the internet is people like AOC. See, people who are talented can rise to the top. So can people who are not talented. As long as they're willing to rabble-rouse and say weird shit like AOC or Ilhan Omar are, they don't have to worry about having a legitimate job. AOC, one-term House Representatives member, and then 10 years as an expert Twitterer. That'd be really funny. Be funny. See what happens next. You can get the hologram of AOC beamed into your house every morning to remind you about why we need to ban cows from flatulence. That would be really, really great. That's about all. Peace out.